welcome to Beyond the Lines. My name is Sarah, I'm the artist behind Pinselgeschichten, and today I'm finally back. I'm able to film again. I've got my studio set up after I moved, and today I'm working in the Outlander coloring book, and I'm working on the next page, which is this one here. Claire is getting dressed in the morning. And I'm getting the first layer done, and I show you, excuse me, I show you how I work with the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils as the underpainting. So this is going to be a mixed media page again. Next week I'm going to show you what I'm going to put on as a second layer, and what I decided to do with media, what I want to work with, what I want to do. But this week I'm talking about why I like watercolors in all its shapes and forms for underpaintings, especially in coloring books where you have a huge spread, and it is just so satisfying to get color down quickly. Have your rough patches of color, where goes what, and then work on the details. And this is what I'm going to talk to you about this week. This is what the focus is on. I'm sharing things, of course, how I very slightly change color when it comes to a mirror image, which is in the page this week. So join me and have fun. Let's get started, shall we? I'm working in the Outlander coloring book, just like I had said in the opener. And the next picture to color is this one here. This is one of the very few coloring books where I go in order, because this one has a story attached to it. So I wanna, I wanna work with the story and relive it through the coloring book. For this page, the story says, wrapping a blanket about me against the chill, I staggered out of bed and headed for the fire as fast as possible. Mistress Fitzgibbons had a cup of hot broth waiting. I sipped it, feeling like a survivor of some major bombing raid, as she laid out a pile of garments on the bed. There was a long yellowish linen chemise with a thin edging of lace, a petticoat of fine cotton, two overskirts in shades of brown, and a pale lemon yellow bodice. Brown striped stockings of wool and a pair of yellow slippers completed the ensemble. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. I hope it's not too horrible for when I'm talking a lot here. So that little story there actually gave the color scheme for me for her dress. So I'm going with brown for the skirts and her hair, and yellow, lemon yellow, not Yemen yellow, that is wrong. Lemon yellow for the bodice. I'm probably will introduce a bit of a greenish color here for this patterned part, as well as the choker. I want to break up the page a little bit and not just have this major two color blobs of brown and yellow. I'm going to go with the color theme that I had in one of the previous drawings or colorings. Let me get it for you. This one here. So a bit of a purplish for the curtain and blue and gray for the background. And today I thought, since I haven't used them in so long, I would go with my Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils and work on this page. I'm having my brushes ready to go, and first I want to choose my colors here. I do have a little, what's the word? A color swatch. Swatch, I think. Oh gosh, it's weird getting back into filming. I wanna choose my colors here first and lay down a layer of those watercolor pencils, liquefy the pigment, and then see how much I want to add. So I'm not sure yet what the second layer will be. Either it will be the same pencils but a bit of more shading and stuff going on, or I will choose another medium. It might be colored pencils, it might be Inktense pencils, I'm not sure yet, but I want to lay down the major color scheme of this page with my watercolor pencils. So I think I will start with the lemon yellow. So I can go with 104 or 205. I think I like the 205 better. It's a little more of a cooler tint. Let me get that pencil. There we go. I've got the pencils next to me on a separate table because this one here is way too small to put everything there. So yeah, this would be a what's it called? Light yellow glaze, and this is the cadmium yellow lemon. So I'm going with the lemon. Shading wise, the light comes from behind her. So I will have a little bit of a color difference here in that mirror. I'm going to choose tiny little bit of different colors, a little paler probably, and she will be the focus of this page here. So I'm just going to give my bodice here a lemon yellow layer. I'm not going to be very particular with the way I put down my pigment, because again, this is just the first layer. There's nothing going on yet when it comes to shading and such. So I can be rather, well, not that particular in the way I put down pigment. I don't have to think about in what direction I'm going to go with my pencil lines here. It will all be rather, well, the same-ish liquefied watercolor layer. I also don't have to think about shading yet. And for pictures like this, I like to work like that, laying down the major colors first, really just as a plain layer, not taking care of any type of shading. Of course, before I start a whole picture, I think about how I want to shade or where I want the lights to come from, but I don't have to work on that yet. I can postpone that to a later point in coloring. It also gives that the way this works for me is it's very satisfying to get color down fast. I know that this page will take a while, of course, because there's particular details here. It just needs a while to be completed, but I can see progress very fast if I work like this, just by, well, adding some major color sections. So I have colored her. I was saying I want to go a little paler for the mirror, because the mirror is not giving the exact same color. It's usually a little more bluish, especially since it's pointed away from the light source. So it's gonna be a little darker and a little cooler. So I need, I think I have to mix colors now. I want there to be a little more of a bluish tint or a greenish tint. I could go with this and mix it with my lemon yellow. That might be something I could try, because all of those other colors here that have a yellowish tint are way too dark. So I'm going with that combination, see if that works. So that's, is that the right pencil? I didn't look it up. Yeah, it's earth green. And I'm going to, oh, excuse me. I'm going to give the reflection of Claire a mixture of the two pencils. I'm gonna lay one color over the other and then keep my fingers crossed that it works when I go in with water and liquefy all that pigment. But it should, I think, it should work. So I hope you are, well, looking forward to this show here returning. It's been so long since I filmed, since I was able to, well, do artwork and film it. It's been almost a year. Can't believe it. But, well, I'm in my new place. You see, I do have a different table here for filming and for doing artwork. So I'm getting back to normal, I hope. So I'm being very, very light with the earth green. Just laying down a tiny little bit of that pencil. And I might even give it a second layer of yellow afterwards. Let's see. Let's see how it goes first. This is something that I have to see. I can't decide now if I want to have another layer of the yellow on top before I go in with my water brush. But for now, I think, yeah, I think it will need a little more of the yellow. So since I just restarted this show here, I was thinking about, okay, what do I want to do with that show? How do I want to proceed? And I think I want to do something that I haven't done before, and it's just so fitting, I think, because this is a book with a story, and I'm going front to back, coloring all the pages. So I think I will finish this book first on this show here, only working on the Outlander coloring book until I'm done, and then I move on to other books and other stuff. So I think that might be a cool thing to do. So there's a few pages left here for me to work on. but I guess it will be very satisfying to, for one, have a book completed, have the story completed, and since I take out the pages that I've colored, I will then have to get some cardstock. I think I'm going to choose black cardstock and glue those pages to the cardstock, and well, the story bits that I just read to you, I'm going to write them down on the cardstock. I think it would be very satisfying to finish that. So what you think? Do you want me to go ahead like that? Is that something you would look forward to? Let me know. So I'm going to start and liquefy my watercolor pigment here. I do have cardstock underneath just to protect the following page. Now I'm gonna let the watercolor pencils do its magic and make a very soft layer of color. I really like watercolors in all its forms, or let's say not only watercolors, but also Inktense pencils, for example. I really like that concept of you drawing or coloring something and then it totally changes when you put water on top, and it gets a absolute different kind of a look. And you get a wonderful soft layer of color there. I think it works really well, and I've said that before in other videos for this book here. It really works with that kind of illustration here. There's other types of illustrations in that book where different styles work way better. But for these intricate lines and for these very fine and minute detailed pictures, I think it just really works well to work with a combination of media and have watercolor or Inktense in there somewhere. So let's see. Yeah, I like that green, earthy green. That's what it's called? Earth green. I like that combination with the lemon yellow. I think it works well as just a reflection to separate the mirrored image of Claire from her actual image. I think that's cool. See how that tiny little bit of an earthy green makes such a huge difference. It automatically is pushed into the background since it's a little darker and a little cooler in tint. So you get that going automatically, and you just by adding one little color. That's, I think, a really, really cool thing. So let's get her bodice all watered. It really pushes her into the foreground, makes her look very bright and sunny just for having that clean color in comparison to the little more muted version. Now the other side. So what have you been working on since, well, since I stopped filming last year? Have you found a new or maybe a favorite coloring book of yours? Let me know in the comment section. I'm very curious. I haven't looked for any coloring books. I haven't bought any new ones. I just took one of the, no, 2 coloring books, no, 3, I took Nightfall, Summer Nights, and Mouse Guard with me when I lived with my, in the house of my best friend's dad for the last couple of months. Didn't take my whole studio with me, just a few things so that I could do some artwork if I so desired, and I didn't really do a lot. That lovely depression of mine really took a toll on my creativity in the last couple of months. So I didn't really feel like, not even coloring. I mean, I have been doing like 2 or 3 pictures, but not even all of those are finished. So that's the bodice. Let me store away the pencils that I used so that I remember, because I'm probably not gonna finish this piece here today. I want to go on with the skirt before I go on with that little chemise underneath. It's yellowish, so I'm probably going to take one of the creamy colors. And before I decide what kind of a green I want to give her, I want to have the major tone of the color of the page set of the clothes. So for her, she also has brown hair. So let's see. I do want to have 2 different tones. And I think I want to have a little more of a reddish brown for her hair. So I want to combine these 2. This is cooler brown and a warmer brown. I want to combine the 2 and then have the skirt be that cooler brown in combination with one of the other cooler shades, just to get a little bit of a difference in there. Like not having it look all dull, but to see that, hold on, 1, 2, 3, to see that there are differences, slight differences, nuances of color. Well, maybe I also get the 280. A little more nuances in the different shades of brown. So I just grabbed all of them. I want to start with the hair, because I like to work top to bottom and right to left, but I just remembered now that I have a little bit of a color on the page, I could actually start a recording for my vlog. Let's control that camera quickly. Camera. Get some footage for the vlog to tease you guys before this comes out. It's not too shabby. All right. So let's start with the hair. I'm going to color them. So hold on. The light catches her from behind. So in the mirror, there will be a little lighter tone than on the right, left-hand side, where we see her front, where the shadow is cast. But also, I need to have a little cooler of a tone. Again, I'm probably gonna use that earth green. But let's start with where the light is. So that would be here. So on that section, it's actually the major part of her of her head, like the whole back side. I'm starting with a more reddish tone, and now I'm going to put a few waves here of the darker brown, the colder brown. And then I'm gonna go over it with a tiny little bit of that earthy green. I know it's not really intuitive, I guess, to reach for this color, but it helps with distinguishing the actual picture from the mirrored image here. So let's give just a tiny little bit of a greenish tint. I'm being very light with my touch here. That should already do it. And now I can go on to the left-hand side. I'm gonna give it a very soft layer of the warmer brown. Coloring her hair now, it just reminds me I gotta make an appointment with my hairdresser, because I haven't been to one in forever, and my hair is getting way too long and doesn't look good anymore. So I should call them. I have to find a new one because I just moved here, but I should call them after filming. It's a wonderful reminder. Now, since this is the shaded side of Claire's hair, I'm going to go way darker with that cooler brown. I'm gonna add way more pigment than on the other side, just to get the shadows going already. I will have to intensify that once I know what I'm gonna put on top for the next layer. But still, in the underpainting here, I wanna make sure that this is already set up, that it's quite visible, that this is the side where the shadow was cast. Of course, I'm leaving some parts where there's just that reddish brown. And I should probably tell you what the color is exactly called. Give me a minute. This is, the cool brown is walnut brown, and the warm one is burnt sienna. So there's going to be some parts where just leave the burnt sienna. Don't put anything on top. But you can see already, if you look on the right-hand side and the left-hand side, that there's quite the difference there. So let's get my brush and we go over this. I could have gone a little stronger with the green, but I can always add a layer, so I don't mind. Yeah, I could have gone way more intense with the green. But well, things you learn. It's better this way around than the other way around, because then she would probably have a too modern type of a hairdo or hairstyle. Because if somebody had green hair in the 17th century, I'd say, well, would probably be a wig, not natural hair that is dyed a certain color. That's more 20th and 21st century, no? So let's get these curls colored. And since I'm having more than one color here, more than one shade of brown, I can't go ahead and color like I did with the bodice, where I could just pull the pigment in whatever direction I wanted. I have to be a little more specific here on where I start putting down my brush and where I pull the pigment to. But I guess that comes naturally once you have a few of these coloring pages under your belt and have used the medium. But it also helps that the illustration shows you what way you should probably go and pull the pigment. Like, for example, here in those dark spots, I'm pulling it in the way or in the direction the illustration says the curls go. And I'm going down with a darker brown first. See, I haven't touched this, for example. Going to do that in a minute. First, I want to have all of those dark walnut spots taken care of, cleaning my brush, and then working on that lighter burnt sienna brown. Now I can move on to the skirt. Whoops. I'm gonna let the hair dry and then put in some more green later. But for now, so I'm taking the lighter of those browns. That's the Van Dyke brown, and the other one is burnt umber. So I'm just taking the Van Dyke first, giving this whole section a generous coat of pigment. And I forgot to check the time, because I usually just film for maximum 2 hours. But I'm just going to wing it today, and next time I'm gonna remember. So I'm also going ahead and using the Van Dyke brown on her skirt here. And again, it doesn't matter in what direction my pencil strokes go because I'm gonna swirl the pigment around with my brush. I think for some people, if you're new to the medium, to watercolor pencils, this could be kind of scary because it looks so ugly and wild the way the pencil strokes land on the paper. But when you get used to it, you get way more secure, and you don't fuss over every little pencil stroke that much anymore, because you know you can pull the pigment in whatever direction you want it to go. But I guess in the beginning this could be kind of intimidating. So now I'm taking the other brown, but I need a little bit. Oops. Need it. Ooh. See, no, this one. Need to sharpen this a little bit. Now I'm going to prepare the shadow parts here, so I'm not going to go over the skirt, like the whole skirt, with what's it called? Burnt umber, with my burnt umber, but here underneath that bodice jacket kind of a thing, going to add a bit, because again the light comes from the back, so this section here should be way lighter than the front. But still, there's also a few shadows cast here on the back, especially on those folds. The fabric, going to add a bit of pigment there. And I'm going to go over the whole skirt with the green, because again I want this to look different than the non-mirrored image of Claire. So I need a bit of a cooler tint. And for the front, I'm going to introduce another color, but first I'm going to give this a good amount of burnt umber. Especially along the folds of the skirt. And then I'm going to put down some indigo. Indigo is a very dark blue color, and one of my favorite colors for shadows, especially on brown, on top of brown or green. I really like it. So I'm going to intensify those really dark shadows with a bit of indigo. But first, let's finish the business of burnt umber. I'm gonna remember this color at one point in the video without me looking at the pencil or having to think for a split second. So here there's going to be a little more light, so I'm going very softly with my burnt umber, not putting down too much pigment. And here I can go in stronger because this is the part where the direct light doesn't hit anymore. I'm still not covering the whole skirt with my second brown, with my burnt umber, but it's way more intense as it is here on that outer rim. Now here comes the indigo. Again, it looks kind of scary, right? But don't worry, it's just a bit here in those upper folds where there's really, really dark shadows. I'm just going to put in a little bit, not too much. I can always go back and add more. And also I'm still on the layer where I work on major color and not on any details or the majority of shading. So there's still going to be enough space and time to do that way later. But I'm going to get in some of those very dark shadows in the underpainting as well. And I let myself be directed by the illustration again on where I put those shadows. It's in the majority, it's on the upper part of the skirt and in those fabric folds here. That's enough already, I think. So I'm going to start with the mirror image. Oh, actually, I could add some of that indigo there too. Just here. Those very dark spots underneath the bodice, because it casts a shadow over the skirt. Should be enough for now, so let's get this show on the road. So with the fabric here, I don't want to smooth out my my pigment too much. I want these kind of lines here to be visible in the end. Want them to stay on the page pretty much. So I'm changing the way I direct my brush from circles or ellipses to straight lines. Wiggly lines, of course, but rather straight lines to keep or to just enhance those fabric folds. It's just a way to make things easier on you. Okay. I like the top a lot. That came out well. I might have to work a bit on the lower part of the skirt, but that's fine. That's for later. Now for the real image, have to be careful now. I'm trying to color or to pull the pigment in those within those folds, since as you can see here, just going top to bottom. Again, starting on the top, trying to stay within the lines, not go beyond the lines, haha, pun intended, and pulling that pigment all the way down. Next fold. And on the other side, it's the same thing. I don't think this is too difficult for a beginner. It's just maybe a little bit intimidating in the beginning, but skill-wise, I think this is a very easy way to get a page started without feeling that you won't finish forever, because that is actually something that I find creeps even in my head, and I'm definitely not a beginner when it comes to coloring, but with colored pencils it just feels like forever. And when you're not used to that process, it might be a little daunting then to just start a major coloring page with only colored pencils, because it's a very slow process. And you have to be aware that it's for a double spread, so twice that size could, well, be, I don't know, 16, 18 hours to get a page done. But with this kind of coloring here, where you have progressed fast, at least for the underpainting, it could feel a little less daunting to start a whole big major page here. And also skill-wise with the brush and such, I think it's really something that is very suitable for beginners. Now I got the skirt done. I do have quite a lot of water on my page, so I will give it a quick blast with my blow dryer. And ooh, that was loud. And then I'm going to work on, I think first her skin and then the chemise and the rest of the bodies and the choker and such. Okay, let's go for the skin tone. I think I've got enough for the vlog. Skin tone is on this side. I don't want her to look like a pig, so I don't want to go too pink, which means I will probably go with 132. That is light flesh. And I want to add, do I want to add maybe a bit of cream color? Yeah, why not? The 102. It's cream. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the flesh tone. And then adding a little bit of that creamy yellow on top. Really just very, very light to counter the pink tone of the skin toned pencil. And I'm also going in with just the lightest hand of earth green for the mirror. And then I need something for her lips. I don't want to go too red because, well, she's not wearing any makeup. So I think, yeah, I'm going to go with this tone. It's also going to be a shade tone later, a shadow part thing here, but then I can still redden the lips, so that is cinnamon. Let's go in with cinnamon for the lips. And I'm also gonna add some shadows here already on the skin tone, but let me give it one layer first. So on this arm. Then a tiny little bit of that yellow cream color to counter the redness of the flesh tone. Then I'm going to add cinnamon for the shadows already, just like I did with the indigo for the fabrics. So there's a shadow here. This is going to be darker. Because the head is in front, the head covers any light that could come to the neck. And the same goes for the collarbones here, just a tiny little bit cinnamon. There's no obstacle here, so this part of her shoulder will be lighter, but the hair here covers any light coming in. So let's give her a bit of a shadow here on the left. And also here on the lower part of the arm. Because there's still a little light coming from the right-hand side from the top. On the other arm, there's going to be shadow here. And here on the fingers. The light is coming from the top, so there's going to be lighter sections where I don't need to shade. And then there's light coming here from the window and also here from the top. So it's more like in the middle here where there's darker parts. And this is very, very light shading now. This is nothing major yet, so I can enhance that a lot whenever I get to the layer where I do all my shading and details. But this is enough for the major color now. And I'm going in with my water brush again. And the left-hand side, starting with her face, cleaning my brush, then going in for the cinnamon for the lips, cleaning again, and then I can go down the neck. I do not have any other shade of pencil here other than the cream and the flesh tone, so I'm starting with this section, carefully not smudging the cinnamon there on the collarbone. And then I can go in from the other side and pull the shadow parts here a little more to the right-hand side. Have all my pigment being liquefied. It's very subtle, and I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but in real life this is actually quite visible here where light and shadow is, where I added my my cinnamon pencil. I think it's a little more visible here on the arm than it was on the chest, but again, it's way more visible here, and you will see it way more once I'm working on actually shading. Now for this arm, I will liquefy the light pigment first. So I want this not to be too dark when I go in with the cinnamon now. Want this to stay quite light. Not to pull the pigment accidentally. I change the way I pull the pigment. So I can switch off the camera. The vlogging camera, that is. And now I can go on with, I wanted. Which color did I want? The 102. So that's the cream color that I also used in the skin. I wanted that for the chemise, because it said yellowish in the text. And then I can go on to the floral pattern bodice part and the choker. And I think I really want to go with a light green. I do like that combination, but I want not one of these apple greens, that's too much, but I think one of these tones would be great. So I'm thinking 168 or 170. I think I'm gonna pull both pencils. 168, 170. And also this color here. That's called Chromium Green Opaque. This 168 is green, earth green yellowish. And the 170 is May green. And I'm going to use the May green on the choker. And have that be similar to the bodice, but not necessarily the same. Need my earth green again to... Oh, I hope the audio doesn't pick up my laundry, because I have the washing machine running. Closed the door of the bathroom, but I hope the audio doesn't pick it up. Could be kind of annoying. Sorry if it does. And then I'm using the yellowish earth green for the bodice. I'm not taking care of the flowers for now. Ooh, but I saw the ruffles here. The lace has to be in cream. Still have the cream with me, so let me quickly color that. I will take care of the details here of the embroidery way later. But I will add a little bit of that chromium green here where there's the darkest shadows. Just to tone it down a bit. So we're gonna add a bit of that chromium here on the choker. There's not too much of a detail here on this side, not too much shading. But I could add a little more of the earth green. A little more of the May green here. Yeah, no, I think this is on audio now with my washing machine. I'm sorry, guys. but I had to do laundry today. This is the 4th load. So let's get that choker colored. I haven't decided yet what kind of color I want to give those little tiny flowers here on the choker. I'm thinking maybe white gel pen in the end, but I'm not sure yet. This is something I have to decide way later. And now this I'm going to liquefy from the middle to the outer parts because I want that pure yellow, green, earth pencil. Not want to have it tinted with the chromium, which I'm going to pull in now from the outer parts of there we go. Cleaning my brush. Okay. I think for the brush here, the hairbrush, I'm going to take that color here. That is one, or I could take this one, 182. That's brown ochre. And I'm going to repeat that color somewhere. And I think, where I want to put it. Maybe the frame of the mirror would be nice, because I want color repetition to not have this coloring page look too busy. So let's put down some, what was it? Brown ochre for the frame. I'm not going to take care of shading the frame for now. It's nothing that I want to add. Brush. Oh yeah, that's a nice color tone. It's almost honey golden. I like this one. And also the bristles here. Now I want a reddish brown, almost like a cherry red brown. Don't really have that. So I think, hold on. Maybe I go with a curtain first, because I want to have like a reddish cherry wood tone for the door, and I'm thinking maybe using this one or this one. But first let's see what purple I'm gonna bring in for the curtain. I'm definitely gonna add a little bit of indigo to it, because the purple tones here are way too bright for my personal taste. But I think it would be cool to have the 249, a little more of a warmer purple tone, and that's mauve. Yeah, that should be nice. Oh, I could actually also have the comb be in ochre. Yes, and I'm going over the over the dishcloth here. This is something I'm gonna take care of way later. Just let's get the major color block in. But I was at the curtains actually. So let's give it a layer of mauve. And then add a little bit of indigo. Since I don't have the curtain visible here on this side, I'm not gonna add any earth green now. Because I don't have to separate the real image from the mirrored image. So I can save myself a little work there. Now the question is, what kind of brownish tone do I want for the door here? I think I really want the darkish red tone here. 263. Let's find it. There it is. And I'm going to add a little bit of a cooler brown to it, so either a Van Dyke or a walnut brown. This is Caput Mortuum Violet. I really like that tone. And let's put walnut on top. Again, you can see the door here in this part, so I'm not going to add any earth green. What was it? Yeah, earth green. I'm just going to give it, just gonna give it a layer of the violet brown and then walnut on top. Just to not make it look too warm, because warm colors tend to be in the foreground, or they tend to move to the foreground. Cooler colors tend to move to the background. So I'm giving this a little cooler tint just to make sure the door stays in the background. And I will probably have to add a little gray or a little more cold brown later on, because this is quite light. But this is something that I can do way later when it comes to shading and such. I can definitely add a little gray or indigo. Got a little bit of that purple pigment onto her yellow bodice. So trying to make it look like a shadow. That's why I pulled the pigment here on the yellow part of it, same here. All right. Now I need my favorite gray. Or first I need a light blue, because those webs here, that mishmash, that has to be gray as well. So I need a tiny little bit of blue, and I'm going to take, first I'm going to put it right way around. I think I'm going to take 146. It's a very subtle light blue, and it's called sky blue, so I'm going to use it on that whole section, not taking care of these mash metal parts. Gonna color them later. We'll probably use my blow dryer in between just to be able to put down the pigments on top of the blue, but also to make sure that my paper doesn't peel too much. Once I have this layer done, I will end the video for today, because I just had a peek on the clock of the camera earlier, and I think I'm gonna be at 1.5 hours or 1 hour 45 minutes once I'm done. I think that is long enough for today. I'm going to start the next layer next week then. Let me very quickly get my blow dryer out. And now I need 2 sets of gray. One of them a little more of a bluish gray, because I want the metal parts here to be a little more of a bluish gray, and then the wall is going to be more of a warmer gray, because that is more of a stone gray. So I'm going to take 181 for my cooler gray. That should be Payne's gray. Yes, it is. It has quite the blue tint. And then I'm going to take one of the warmer grays here, medium, so the 274 looks good to me. I can find it. Yeah, it should be this one. Yeah, 274. Oh, and I forgot I need a super light gray for the metal things. This is my dark color, so I'm taking the cool light gray 233. There we go. So let's start with the warm parts. This is warm gray, and this is warm gray. I'm gonna take care of this stone look later. And here's one thing I always tell you: when you're coloring or painting or drawing, rotate your piece of work if you wanna have a comfortable way of coloring or drawing or painting. This is the stone gray, then there's the Payne's gray for the frame. It's way easier to just rotate your piece of work instead of awkwardly holding your hand, and then you have, I don't know, major wrist pain or carpal tunnel or something in the end. It's not worth it, let me tell you. This is actually quite difficult for me, trying a straight line. This is mentally exhausting because I have to get back to training my left hand. I mean, it would be way worse with my right hand, but my MS really took a toll on my fingers as well, and this is definitely doable, and it gets easier once I'm drawing or painting or coloring daily again, but it's mentally exhausting to just drawing a straight line. All right, now for the other metal parts here. Going over it with the light cool gray. And there's a tray underneath. And now for the darker parts, just with a very light touch. And again, the left-hand side has less exposure to light, so I'm shading this to the left-hand side. Bit on the handle here. That's enough. I can take care of the rest of the details later on. But oh, I forgot the caput violet for the handle of the brush. Also with a bit of walnut. Then I only have to color the tablecloth and I'm done. Of course, I'm gonna do that only once I have liquefied all of my pigments here. One thing after the other, guys. Then it can dry. And we can see each other next week. Now I have to rotate again. I want to do the stone wall first. This is way more yellowish tone of gray, also called warm gray. I can go on to the most tricky thing. Yeah, no, let's start with these lines here, these mesh parts. Same on this side here. Oh, well, it's a little bit of a shadow there. This was a little too wide, but that's fine. Okay, now I have to rotate again. It's time for the window frame. And got a little bit of the pigment onto the yellow. The cream shimmies, but well, I don't mind. And now I'm quickly gonna liquefy the pigment on the brush. And then I'm gonna start on the right hand side of that vase thing. Then pull in the pigment from the darker side. Then same here for the basin. First all the light parts, and then pulling the pigment, like the Payne's Gray, into that freshly colored parts. Now I need a tablecloth. I think I want to have, repetition with the green maybe, although then the purple stands out quite a bit. I want her to stand out, so I'm taking purple for for the tablecloth, but I'm gonna add way more indigo and just a little bit of mauve. So I'm starting with my main color, which is indigo. I'm going around the comb for now. I will add shadows and color in between those teeth of the comb way later. Now I can add a bit of the mauve, just a very, very light touch. Don't want it to be too much. I'm also not gonna add mauve all the way down here, just a bit. And then the final touches. At least for today. Actually, I do have enough pigment on my brush, so let's pull a bit up between the teeth of the comb. All right, that's it for today. I'm gonna let this dry and next week I'm gonna show you part 2, and I think I'm going to add Inktense pencils next, just to do the shading and intensify some of the colors, especially the green. I want the green to pop. I think Inktense would work really well on top of these watercolor pencils. So I hope you enjoyed watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I will have a blog post ready when this video airs with all the materials I used and a few close-up photos. And then, yeah, you can, in case you have the same pencils and you want to use exactly that color combination on something, you just can read up on it. The link is in the description box below, but you can also just go to pinselgeschichten.de, the most recent post, or search for the name of the video. It's always the same name with the blog post and the video, in case you're watching it this way later. Just look it up and, well, check it out. Thanks again for watching. I would very much appreciate if you gave this video a thumbs up in case you liked it, or share it with a friend or your coloring community. And again, questions, comments, leave them in the comment section. I'm going to get back to you as quickly as possible. And thanks for watching, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.